Listen, here's the truth. If it's not in your zone of genius, automation is mandatory. You didn't start your podcast to spend hours editing clips. You started it to create, connect, and grow your audience. But here's the problem. Every other platform works with video podcasts, and manual editing eats up your most valuable asset, your time. That's where Opus Clip changes everything. Upload your video, and Opus Clip will automatically find the golden nugget moments, auto clip and caption the best parts, perfect for TikTok, Reels, and Shorts. 1 hour-long episode becomes 10, 20, even 30 viral-ready clips in minutes. The tool even predicts each clip's viral potential, so you know exactly what to post. No more tedious editing. No more wasted hours. Just you staying in your zone of genius, creating content that matters. Head to podnationopus.com for your free trial and get back to doing what you do best. Stop editing and start creating now. This is an Undiscovered Legacy production and proud member of PodNation Media Network.
Hey there, entrepreneurs and business builders. This is Scoob from Business Conversations with Pi, where the questions are real, but the voices are AI, even mine. Welcome to another insightful episode. On today's show, we're diving into the burning questions that new entrepreneurs often ask as they embark on their exciting journeys. Whether you're just sketching out that brilliant business idea or have already taken the first steps, this is the place to get your top queries answered. I'll be your host, along with my virtual co-host, Pi, an AI assistant, created by the brilliant minds at Anthropic. Pi's neural networks have been trained on a vast trove of business knowledge. So you can count on us to provide thorough and actionable advice from crafting a solid business plan to nailing your marketing strategy and everything in between. We've got you covered. So get ready to soak up some entrepreneurial wisdom as Pi, and I tackle those make or break questions that all first-time founders face. With our combined human experiences and artificial smarts, will give you the insights to turn your startup dreams into thriving reality. Grab a notepad, put on those entrepreneurial thinking caps, and let's dive in. This is Business Conversations with Pi.
Welcome back. If you've ever felt that pit of dread in your stomach sometime around 4 p.m. on a Sunday afternoon, this deep dive is for you. We are analyzing what the sources call the Sunday dreads, that predictable, crushing anxiety about going back to work.
Yeah.
We've taken a whole stack of sources from mindset experts, psychologists, seasoned entrepreneurs to try and figure out what this feeling is actually telling us.
And that is absolutely our mission today. We want to challenge the idea that these Sunday dreads are just, a fixed state of misery you have to put up with.
Right.
We're asking, are these feelings actually vital information? Is that sinking feeling an inner compass pointing you toward your authentic life path, or what some sources call your assignment?
I like that framing. Let's not treat this dread as some enemy we have to suppress, but more like a symptom that needs a proper diagnosis.
Exactly. It's an alarm bell. It's ringing about a really profound misalignment in our lives. The material we have explores everything from the psychological hurdles that keep us stuck to the need to align what you do every day with your zone of genius.
So if you feel lost, this should feel a bit like finding the first few pages of a map.
That's the hope.
Okay, let's start with the physical experience then, because it's so specific and so many of us share it. One of our sources, Jess Lindgren, she maps out this timeline, and it starts really subtly, physically.
Yeah, it's that initial tension in your shoulders on Sunday morning. Maybe you're just having your coffee.
And your body already knows. It's like this preemptive stress. Your system knows Monday's coming, and it starts signaling that anxiety before your conscious brain has even caught up.
But then it really speeds up Sunday afternoon. That's the moment the realization hits that the weekend is, quote, almost over.
That's the psychological nosedive. And by Sunday night, that anxiety is turned into, poor, fragmented sleep.
Because your body is preparing for fight or flight, even if the threat is just a morning meeting.
Exactly.
And this interpretation is really the key. The anxiety is not a life sentence. It is an actual wake-up call.
A wake-up call to what, though?
Lindgren makes the point that the moment action becomes possible is when you're more afraid of staying than leaving your current situation. The dread itself becomes more painful than the fear of actually changing something.
That sounds great in theory, but I think that's where a lot of people listening might hit a wall. It's easy to say, the pain of the status quo is greater. But if you're supporting a family, paying a mortgage, that Sunday dread is just uncomfortable. The fear of leaving is a real financial threat.
And that's a necessary check because we're not talking about just tossing your stability out the window. The sources are focused on the emotional calculation. The dread is the cumulative cost of ignoring your authentic self. So it's less about a sudden "I quit" and more about recognizing that the emotional and physical price you pay every single week is actually higher than the fear of starting the process of change. That shift is the wake-up call.
That makes sense, and this feeling often comes up during times of identity transition. Crunch's Crusade highlights that a lot of people, and especially women, tie their sense of self to these external roles.
The successful accountant, the busy mom, the supportive spouse.
Right. And when a big life change happens, a divorce, a job loss, that role is gone. The sources say the inner self kind of gets lost or hidden or suppressed.
You've operated under someone else's expectations for so long that when they vanish, you feel completely lost and adrift at sea. And that Sunday dread is just the emotional echo of knowing you're living someone else's life, not your own.
You're lacking an internal rudder.
Exactly. So if that misalignment is the cause, what are the psychological forces that stop us from, course correcting? It all comes back to fear. Gordon Firemark synthesizes it really well, identifying 4 core fears that block action: imposter syndrome, perfectionism, fear of failure, and then just generalized fear.
And one of the most useful reframes I found in the material was the acronym FEAR.
False evidence appearing real.
Right. Which suggests the thing holding us back isn't even real yet.
John Marvin argues this perfectly. Fear is inherently imagined because the only thing you can really fear is something that hasn't yet happened. It's a story you're telling yourself about a negative future and is crippling your present.
The part that genuinely shocked me was the insight from Pat Flynn and John Marvin, that fear and excitement actually come from the same part of the brain.
Isn't that wild?
They share the same neurological engines, so those Sunday night jitters, that racing heart, that's chemically the same as the energy you'd feel before getting on a roller coaster.
This is so critical. It means the goal isn't to get rid of the feeling, it's to choose the label you give it.
So you can choose to let that energy become worry, or you can channel it into anticipation of great things happening.
It's the first real choice you have when the dread hits.
Okay, but what if we feel the dread, we understand the fear, and we still choose to stay comfortable? What's the real consequence?
Leslie Fiorenzo puts it very sharply. Ignoring the feeling means missing your true assignment.
What do they mean by assignment? Is that like a spiritual thing?
Not necessarily a spiritual decree, no. Think of it more like that unique contribution, skill, or idea that only you can execute. If you ignore that itch in your gut for too long, she says, the universe found somebody else to carry it out.
Wow, that's a heavy thought. But does your assignment have to be starting a company? Do you have to become an entrepreneur to stop feeling the dread?
Not at all. The assignment is just the path where your unique talents and passions meet a problem that needs solving. It could be a new process at your current job. It could be launching a unique curriculum if you're a teacher. The dread is just the alarm clock saying you are not engaging the highest version of your purpose.
It's screaming for contribution, not necessarily for incorporation papers.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the antidote. Finding what the sources call the zone of genius.
Let's break that down. They define it as the work that produces the highest ratio of abundance and satisfaction to the amount of time spent.
Or to simplify it, think of it as the thing you do that gives you the most energy, money, or happiness for the least amount of effort. It's work that energizes you, not drains you.
And working outside of that zone, spending your time on tasks you're just competent at, is the fast track to burnout.
Absolutely. The prescription then is amplification. The Prince of Positivity says you have to delegate the tasks that aren't in your zone. You stop doing things you're merely competent at, and you focus only on what you are a genius at.
Okay, but achieving that feels like a straight line to success on a chart. It seems so perfect. But John Marvin and Lindsay make it clear the journey is not a straight line.
Not even close.
Lindsay has this fantastic analogy. What people think the path looks like is a clean, straight arrow, but what it's actually like is a toddler's doodle. It's messy, unpredictable, full of zigzags.
And this is where people get so discouraged. They pivot once and they think they failed.
When really, the doodle shows us that pivoting is the norm.
John Marvin says pivoting isn't failure, it's a necessary skill. You have to know your destination and then view every new venture or side hustle as a different vehicle to get there. Sometimes a vehicle runs out of gas. You just switch.
But switching vehicles takes grit. It takes what Stephen Puri identified as tenacity over talent. We're so obsessed with raw talent, but he says tenacity, the willingness to take a no and ask, how do I get better? That's the real determinant of success.
Because you only learn through failure. Vera McCoy argues we have to reframe mistakes. They're not mistakes, they're learning experiences or stumbling blocks that give you essential data.
If you haven't failed at something, you weren't pushing hard enough.
And you are likely still in that safe, comfortable job that gives you the Sunday dreads.
So we've diagnosed the problem, we know the prescription is the zone of genius, but here's the tough love part.
The dread will not disappear until you take action. Growth only happens outside the comfort zone.
That implies the exact moment we feel uncomfortable is probably the right time to push. From Introvert says, when you feel that discomfort, it likely means you're in the right place.
And Lindsay captures it perfectly. The goal is to find comfort in being uncomfortable.
So what are the actual steps then? For the listener who is stuck in that loop right now, what's the first move?
Well, the core advice is simple but terrifying. Just do it. John Krotek and Lindsay both point out that time is still going. If you spend another year just planning, you've actually moved further away from your goal.
Because the world moves on without you. But that leap can feel huge. So if it feels too big, we start small.
Exactly. Start with tiny, manageable acts. It could be reading one book on your desired industry. It could be spending 1 hour on a Saturday morning just mapping out your skills.
Or networking, reaching out to just one person who's doing what you admire.
Yes. You build momentum. Small actions create the energy you need to counteract the inertia of the dread.
And what about those of us who get stuck on perfectionism? Waiting for the perfect business plan, the perfect website.
The sources are brutally honest here. Stop. Louis D. reminds us that ideas are rarely unique. Execution is key. He says to just put something out there that's 80% ready and start testing reality.
Waiting for the perfect time actually puts us behind.
You need that real-world friction to sharpen your idea.
At the end of the day, though, the ultimate motivator has to be internal. Lindsay says the want for the outcome must be bigger than the fear of doing it.
When the pain of staying where you are finally becomes greater than your fear of taking the leap, that's when you move.
Yeah.
And that's when the dread starts to go away.
So this deep dive really clarifies that Sunday dreads aren't a life sentence. They're a sophisticated internal messaging system, an inner compass showing a profound misalignment between who you are and what you're doing.
The cure isn't denial. It's decisive, authentic movement towards your zone of genius.
Toward that assignment.
Right. And here is a final provocative thought for you to chew on this week, based on an insight from Pat Flynn. Our brains are wired to solve problems.
Okay.
If you're complacent in your current work, if your job is monotonous or below your skill level, your brain will subconsciously look for problems elsewhere. It will create drama or worry or just generalized anxiety.
Wow.
The Sunday dread is simply your brain desperately trying to assign itself the biggest, most important problem it should be solving, aligning your life with your authentic self.
So the question is, what problem will you choose to solve this week? If you're pivoting or stepping into your zone or just tackling that fear of being lost, we want to hear about it.
Send us your questions about pivoting, authenticity, and overcoming that dread. You can reach us at tuepodcast.net/askpi.
We'll see you next time.
What an insightful discussion we've had today on Business Conversations with Pi. A huge thanks to my knowledgeable AI co-host who was developed by the brilliant team at Anthropic. Pi's neural networks trained on a vast corpus of business data provided us with invaluable guidance on those pressing entrepreneurial topics. I hope all you aspiring entrepreneurs and business owners out there found Pi's artificially intelligent yet refreshingly human-like advice to be immensely helpful. Whether you're still mapping out that big idea or are already deep in the startup trenches, having an AI assistant like Pi on your team can give you the edge to turn your venture into a success story. And don't forget, if you have a burning business question that didn't get covered today, I want to hear from you. Feel free to send me your query and I'll tap into Pi's capabilities. To get you the answers you need on an upcoming episode, go to tuepodcast.net/askpi. So stay hungry, keep hustling, and tune in next time as we continue decoding the entrepreneurial journey, one conversation at a time. This has been Business Conversations with Pi. I'm Scoob from Undiscovered Entrepreneur, and we'll chat again soon.
Hello, Scoob believers. Let me ask you a real quick question. How many cups of coffee have you had today? 3, 5, 7? And let me guess, you've got a Red Bull in the other hand just in case, right? Yeah, I see you. Now, here's the truth bomb nobody wants to hear. You're not building a business. You're building a caffeine dependency. Listen, I get it. When you're grinding 12, 14, 16-hour days, you're building something from nothing. When you've got payroll to meet, investors to impress, and visions that won't wait. You need fuel. But what if I told you that the fuel that you're using is actually slowing you down? What if the very thing that you think is keeping you sharp is actually making you dull? Enter Rise Coffee. This isn't your grandma's mushroom tea. This isn't some hippie wellness trend. This is science meets performance. And here's what makes Rise different. Less than half the caffeine of a regular cup of coffee. But here's the kicker. You won't miss it. 6 organic powerhouse mushrooms, including cordyceps, what Olympic athletes use, and lion's mane, what Silicon Valley biohackers swear by. Sustained energy that doesn't spike and crash. We're talking smooth, clean power from morning to moonlight. Crystal clear focus without the jitters. Imagine closing the deal with calm, confident mind instead of the caffeine chaos. Gut health and immune support, because what's the point of building an empire if you're too sick to enjoy it? So here's the challenge to you. Stop borrowing energy from tomorrow. Stop running on fumes and call it a hustle. Stop wearing your caffeine addiction like a badge of honor. Real entrepreneurs optimize, real entrepreneurs adapt, real entrepreneurs win. You can't win if you're crashing at 2 p.m. while your competition is just getting started. Break the cycle. Head to risesuperfoods.com right now and use code PODNA15 for 50% off your first order. That's PODNA15 for 15% off. Try it for 30 days. If you don't feel the difference, if you don't feel sharper, calmer, more focused, more alive, then go back to your 6-a-day cup habit. But I'm telling you, we won't, because once you feel what real energy feels like, you'll never go back. Ditch the addiction, fuel your empire, and rise up. Rise Coffee, energy that builds, not burns.